Hey everyone, Matt here from Docs Running, and today we're going to do a Should I Upgrade episode or comparison review of the Brooks Glycerin GTS 21 versus the Brooks Glycerin GTS 22. Now, this is Brooks' premium stability training shoe. Previously, before it was Glycerin GTS, there were a couple other names, but that's how it's been the last couple, and it's been actually a shoe that initially I didn't like, and then in version 21, blew me away. I really enjoyed it to the point it was one of my favorite shoes of 2024. I almost got 100 miles on this shoe. I failed to do a 100-mile review because I was finishing my PhD and moving across the country, so a lot of stuff got in the way, but I've still had it around and still really enjoyed it, but enjoyed it for reasons that some other people didn't enjoy it, and that's where the 22 is going to come in as a shoe that I am enjoying, but it's just a different shoe than 21. We'll talk about it. There's a lot of things that are quite different that some people that didn't like 21 are going to really like in 22, and some people that really liked 21 may not like in 22. So let's talk about this and help you figure out which one might work better for you, especially with 21 being on such sale. So as always, we're going to start with specs first, measured in my size 10. So between the two of these, the 21 GTS is coming in at 10.7 ounces in my size 10, or about 302 grams. Version 22 is coming in at 328 grams or 11.6 ounces. So again, quite a bit of weight. That is somewhat noticeable. It's not terrible, and I'll explain why in terms of a ride, but version 21 feels quite a bit lighter. In terms of stack height, version 2 gets just 1 millimeter more. So 21 was 38 in the heel, 28 in the forefoot for a 10 millimeter drop. Version 22 gets a 1 millimeter stack height increase, so it's 39 millimeters in the heel, 29 in the forefoot, still a 10 millimeter drop. Now, the thing about Brooks is oftentimes they feel like really high heel drop shoes, and that's usually because of two things. A, because they typically have higher heel drop still, and they typically don't have great heel bubbles. Now, that really changed in version 21, which I was surprised because version 20 I did not like. It did not have great heel bubble, really clunky. Really nice posterior lateral bevel in version 21 that was super smooth, combined with the fact the midsole is really soft. Like the DNA loft over here, really soft, surprisingly soft ride that I liked, and I liked it so much because it actually lessened the guide rails, which for people that wanted more stability, that's where 22 is going to come in. But the ride, this 21 was a mild stability, very soft, lighter daily trainer that I really enjoyed, but it may not provide enough stability for other people. But like I said, even though there was some posterior heel flare here, still had a really smooth transition. I'm jumping ahead. Version 22 corrects that. Less posterior heel flare. Heel is a little bit more centered as the shoe is breaking in, which is, we never do initial reviews because how things feel initially may not feel the same with 30 miles later, and I've got 30 miles on the 22. Now the lateral side is breaking in, so it starts centered, breaks in a little bit more, so a little bit lateral compression because I am landing there, but still very centered and stable ride. The DNA loft in version 21 is not the same as DNA tuned in version 22. So very soft ride over in 21. DNA tuned still is mildly soft compared to most things, but it's firmer compared to 21. So if you found this shoe too soft, version 22 is going to be better for you. I do like that because it actually also makes the guide rails, which there's a medial post on the inner side and a little bit of a lateral sidewall and potential, I don't know for sure, but it's supposed to be more centered, lateral guide rail here, longer medial guide rail on the inner side, but it makes the stability way more apparent in version 22. A lot of people that I talked to found that version 21 wasn't a moderate stability shoe. I'd actually put it more as a mild stability shoe because the soft sole offset the stability so much, whereas version 22, much more stable, but also a little bit firmer compared to this. So if you didn't like what some people said was a mushy ride, I liked it. It was really soft and nice for me. I don't typically like soft shoes. If that was too soft for you, version 22 is going to be a lot better, but if you don't want more firmness, then I would stick with version 21. If you wanted more stability too, and the stability is really apparent, like it's a little bit too much for me. I'm someone that if you totally take away my ability to pronate, I start getting IT band or hip stuff and hip pain, and that's exactly what happened in 22. It's breaking in and getting better, but it really influences how much you pronate. So if you want a lot more control, version 22 is better. And to be honest with you, I like 21, but the Glycerin GTS in its prior names was really supposed to be a premium, higher stability shoe. So the 22 actually moves back to that, which I think is great because there's lots of options out there. So if you wanted more, great. If you want just a teeny bit less, maybe that mild to moderate stability, more moderate, that's where the adrenaline's going to come in. But if you want that higher amount, that's where the 22 is going to come in. So just doing another and I'll do a video comparison between the adrenaline and this in a very short time. So rides different. Less posterior flare in 22, but slightly firmer ride compared to the way softer ride and a more mild stability ride of version 21. Now, the uppers are also quite different. Version 21 surprised me because it was actually very wide. I had to tighten laces down, really nice wide forefoot. So if that's something you wanted, that was great, right? It was a nice, I believe it's called a warp knit, which to me just looks like a mesh upper. Don't quote me on exact terminology for upper materials, but it just felt like a nice mesh upper that had plenty of room and just gave me my toes a lot of room to spread out, but I did have to lock it down a little bit because I was sledding a little bit. If you didn't find 21 secure enough, version 22, it's got a jacquard mesh, which you can make fun of me because I guarantee I pronounced that wrong, but it's another knit, but it's a firmer, more secure knit. This upper is a little bit more plush and a little bit stiffer and way more secure. I've had zero issues trying to lock my heel down, trying to lock my foot down. It's really in there, but the volume is also much lower because it doesn't stretch as much. So I got quite a bit of pressure on the top of my toes right here. It almost felt short, which some Brooks shoes have felt like that. Brooks. And it has broken in though. So it took about 15, 20 miles and this upper is starting to warm up to me a little bit and it's starting to adapt specifically to my foot. So if you're willing to be patient, this knit upper, thinner, more secure, locked in a little bit more. You just need a little bit more time to break it in, but it will hold your foot very, very well. However, if you want more volume, it is slightly wide. So people that have wider feet, you might be able to get away with this, but they also have a wide version as well. It's going to be a little better for normal to maybe slightly more, I would say even narrow feet just because of how low volume the upper is. But if you wanted a for sure wider, higher volume fit, version 21 is going to be the better option. So different fit, right? And this is adapting, so it'll probably get better and adapt to my foot, but it'll be a little bit more in that normal width fit, whereas 21 was much wider. Rides are different, fits are different. So two kind of different shoes, more stable, more mild stability. So moderate to higher stability in 22, mild stability in 21, softer ride, teeny bit firmer ride comparatively. So still a great shoe in 30 miles. This has 80 miles over in this pair. This one has 30 miles. Outsole durability is phenomenal. It's been great. I'm going to keep getting miles in this, but definitely worth the money in terms of a higher, like greater shoe. I'm really curious to see how the DNA Tune breaks in the 22 because I really liked it in the Glycerin Max, and we'll have to see how a slightly lesser amount of it breaks in over this. But overall, two great shoes that are just going to be for different people. And as always, I really want to know, do you agree with what I'm saying? Do you disagree? Have you had different experiences or similar experiences? And I really hope this helps you make better decisions on what works for your feet, because the goal is just to help you stay healthy and keep running.